Good mornings in Meridian. Thank you for tuning in on this Monday, the 7th day of April. So glad you're out there. I'm Roger B. And, of course, the whole team is here in the house this morning. It is, it includes Mr. Rob Atkinson.
Morning.
From the great city of, it's a suburb of Meridian called Meridian.
Yeah.
So, didn't bring us any Dunkin' Donuts from the store there.
You got any money?
Okay, that was the part that was missing.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about a person who has a store of lots of great tasting treats. That's Mr. Charles Frazier.
Yeah, no donuts.
Yeah, I noticed that.
No money either.
No money, no donuts.
Yeah, you go.
No
Time
money.
to make the donuts.
So, everybody had a good weekend, I take it? Yeah.
Weekend? What's that?
Hands off.
Define weekend.
Hands off.
Hands off.
Whoa.
Hands off. Hands off my democracy.
Yeah, I didn't. Is that where you were? Did you go to a hands off? Did you go to a hands off demonstration?
Hands off.
That's right.
What does that even mean? It's just weird.
Does
We don't want hands on, that's for sure.
Does,
but, you know,
does any of it make any sense
What
at
are
this
you
point?
What are you protesting? We're protesting the deportation of illegals without documentation or due process. All the ones that came in without any documentation or due process.
So the ones shouldn't be here.
Interesting. Yep.
Well, they did have a quite a show out at Dumont, I think. 7? How many were there? 11?
Maybe 10.
Oh, 10. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, so I overestimated
Hands
the
off!
11.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know. Did we?
Yeah.
Did we have something happen at Dumont?
No, not really would be the answer to that. Or was it the Doughboy? I don't even know where they were.
They were the Doughboy.
Doughboy.
Did they bring a food truck?
Were there donuts there?
Yeah,
You know, if they brought donuts, maybe I would.
They
If you're
might
going to
have.
be at the
Hands
Doughboy,
off my donuts.
They might have had
Hands
it.
off the donuts.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
down there protesting food. I'm down there.
I'm consuming the food.
I wanted to have a sign that says "Hands on." Deport all these legal criminals that are dangerous to our society.
They didn't seem quite local to me.
Oh.
Doesn't ring here at the home on the home front.
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of
Like
traffic.
you guys got to get your hands off.
I didn't see the traffic stop down there and the streets flooded and
Traffic stopped and the streets were flooded.
But they made their
Not
great
flooded with people.
organized, demonstrated effort.
hey, that's their constitutional right.
It is a constitutional right to peaceably assemble
Sure.
and demonstrate and let your voice be heard. And that's good. Mm-hmm. You can also let your voice be heard by calling this number right here. It's 601-485-9191, 601-485-9191, and I guarantee you more people will hear you than they did down at the Dumont Plaza.
Right.
So, anyway, well, I enjoyed on Friday riding in the MRAP vehiil. Went down to the press. Went down to the press conference there with Cash and
Hercules.
Yeah.
The MRAP vehicle.
That's
Okay.
right. That's
you mean the armored vehicle the sheriff's department has? acquired?
yes. The Lauderdale County Sheriff got that vehicle and
What does that get to the?
enjoyed.
many miles to the
Charlie
gallon do you
Ballou
get?
and I were sitting in there,
Charlie!
and some
They let
others
you
that were-
drive it.
and Stella McMahon. Yeah.
Ah!
In fact, she's going to come on the show. I see.
Wednesday.
That's what it is. Yeah, we've
Talk
got
about dead people.
Wait a minute. That's the best time to talk about them.
think so.
I mean, if you talk about
They can't retaliate.
Yeah.
You know, ain't nothing they can do about that.
what do you call when you talk about dead people? Call it history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toby Bates could tell you that. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Special guest.
The prof.
Along with other special guests. So, Stella's coming on the show this week. Let's see. Now, today, I'm not sure if we have you said no today,
No
but
day.
we've got tomorrow. I know we've been booking people. I just don't know who we have.
Not getting booked.
We'll just take it one day at a time.
Sweet Jesus.
Yes.
One day at a time. I love that song.
Oh, is it? I didn't.
You didn't know that was a song, yeah.
No,
One day
they're
at a
just
time.
making it up. I think you do that a lot, so I'm just.
Yeah.
I roll with it. Oh, there it goes again.
There he
Making up a
goes off
song.
at his little music stuff.
Yeah, making it up as he
There you
goes.
go. Let's go to the phone lines here and see
Let's do
who's
it.
on board. Good morning, caller. Welcome to our show.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Hey.
Good morning.
Better
Doing
now
well.
that you're here.
I have a interesting thing. I'm all for the police. I'm all for the sheriff's department. I'm 100% backer of law enforcement. But they could have fixed our tornado sirens at West Lauderdale and Collinsville before they worried about an MRAP. Just, my opinion.
Now, your sirens aren't working out in Collinsville?
They haven't worked the last 3 or 4 storms that come through that we had the tornadoes that came within a mile of our house. So I'm sure it's been reported, but like I said the other night, it came through pretty bad, and no tornado warnings, anything. If it wasn't for the phone systems, we wouldn't even know in Collinsville they were having a tornado.
I don't know what part of the county budget would that come from? Tornado sirens? Would that be emergency management or whatever?
Lima.
Is that what? I don't know what funds would that would come out.
However, if they were government or they were county funds anyway, then they could be certainly used for that purpose. I don't see why not.
That's
I mean, if
exactly
they're sheriff,
right,
they could be,
emergency purposes. But anyway, that was just my 2 cents on it. But hey, more power to them if they got an MRAP.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I to some extent I agree with the caller. I mean, is there really a need for this sort of vehicle?
Well, they were using a bread.
question.
They were using a bread truck, and they found something
With
a bit
bread
more.
in the truck.
Well, there may have been some bread in the
Donuts,
truck.
maybe.
Making toast in there?
Donuts is probably what they were. And that's
Yeah.
not a cop donut joke right there. I just want to be clear about that. But dangerous territory.
All right, you guys have a great day, man.
Hey, you too. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
But regardless of the MRAP,
What
and
was
all
the
rest-
cost of the MRAP? Did it say?
Yes, it did. It said the MRAP is. It says it's worth almost $500,000, according to Queen City News Feed.
That means it was purchased for that much?
It was here's the thing about it. It was made available through the LESO program, a federal initiative that allows local, state, and city agencies to acquire surplus military equipment. So they got it like a surplus and then kind of fix it up, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No taxpayer dollars spent on this.
Well, and I'm aware of that. I know that was seized money from
Yeah.
drugs and things like that. I just don't know if that's.
So you probably could not have used those funds for the sirens. That's
I don't
probably
see why
comes-
not.
Probably
I mean,
comes out of another part
the
of the
city
budget.
moves money all over. They take money out of the police
Well,
budget.
that's
move it
part
for
of the
other
problem with it.
things. Well, there are problems.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is government. It's not unprecedented within any government network or whatever organization to do something like that. So.
Our next visit with the supervisors, we'll ask them about how those sirens are
Oh,
going.
JJ, how are the sirens?
Now, I'm glad they're working out at the Tumsuba area, the Russell area, because that's how I know when to get up and go at the window.
Yeah, you always have to rephrase that when you say board of supervisors, JJ.
It's pretty much. Now, but I
Rest
mean,
of them ain't
Well,
coming on here.
while I was at the news conference, I visited with Josh Todd, and he said all you have to do is call him. And so, I'm sitting there
JT,
thinking,
get him on the phone.
All right, hang on.
What's that number?
Hang on.
Well,
Yeah.
Call him right now.
now,
there you go.
But
Yeah.
is there actually now,
Yeah.
and not to dispute what the caller's saying, but I mean, with the preponderance of cell phones in our society, is there really a need for a siren that's external? I think everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah,
I mean, my parents
yeah.
are in their late 80s, have a cell phone. They don't know how to work the things. It keeps going off. I don't know what to do.
That
And fair enough,
tremendously
but
that tremendously annoying noise on your phone does
when it rings,
does
when the sirens go off. Well,
when
ringing
the
is
weather
also
warning goes off,
Yeah.
that certainly serves much more effectively. But they can't say guarantee that everybody. There might be a person
That's
somewhere
true.
that
It's on
doesn't
order
have-
to, but I think that probably 99% have those.
And then and even sirens are subjective as to whether you can hear them sometimes, depending on what you got going on in the house. If you're watching, for example, News Center 11, like many
You
people
might
would,
hear the sirens going. You don't know if it's at the tornado. Is it on
like
the
so many
news?
people
What's
were
going
doing
on?
during the storm. Was it Saturday evenings? Was that when it was kind of the biggest threat?
It was like early Sunday morning. Is when
I
that
was
little
sleeping.
I told
then,
my wife, I said, I bet you that weather lady ain't going to go to church.
No, not today.
Not today. She's going to be sleeping. She was.
Yeah, maybe.
Deidre was up all. She was
Go to
going at
church
it.
and you give thanks. So.
Yeah. Anyway, that's and I'm sure we had our own personnel here at the radio station doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Were you here in the middle of the night?
I wasn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Not me. No.
No, but
Nah, didn't
I
even
was
think
at
about coming.
I was at the house.
I was I was seat belted into my recliner and making sure that if
Seat belted it. You got a seatbelt on? You don't even put your seatbelt on in your car.
I know,
You put it on
but
the
the-
recliner?
but just during tornado warning.
Okay, we'll tell the sheriff that. He'll be pleased.
He'll be in next week. You can
Click it
talk
or
to him.
take it. Yeah.
I think it's
okay.
next week we get to see.
I believe so.
And we can take that up with Ward Calhoun at that time about the
And I want to
MRAP.
ride
But,
in the MRAP.
but it's a pretty cool vehicle. It's
Actually, it'll be the week after, the 21st, or the 22nd, rather. I think. Is that right?
well,
No, it is the 15th. Okay.
15th.
Yeah, because the first landed on
if
Tuesday. so-
if we stay with the third Tuesday, it would be
Traditional
the
calendar.
15th. But yeah, it
Okay.
could, he might want to bump it to the next week.
He'll be in on tax day.
Oh.
Talk about the MRAP on tax day.
Well, I'm glad that I can say that mine are in and done.
Done.
So glad.
No, we file the extension automatically.
Yeah, it's just automatic.
Extend
Extend,
it. We'll do it in
extend.
October.
We'll worry about it later.
Yeah.
Do that later. Well, that's what we used to do. And we just got a little tired of that. Anyhow, yeah. So yeah, we've had everything hands off. Yeah, I enjoyed the news conference there, and was talking to Charlie. He had gotten one of those trips to the aircraft carrier,
Right.
and so
yeah.
he wanted to talk more about that, which is pretty cool. If you've ever had a chance to do that, it's just a very cool thing to do. Anyhow, we're glad you're out there. Come on in here at 601-485-9191, 601-485-9191. I did not plan on having to have a jacket when I came out of the house this morning, but it's a little bit cooler, so you might need a jacket. I came on without it because I just didn't want to go back in the house and get it, and I knew the studio would be warm.
Filled with love. That's what we are.
That's what it is.
Hell
But
wrong with you.
But that front, that front came through and left it a little bit cooler this morning, which
That's
is
about 50.
49.
Ooh, 49.
49, 50, somewhere in there,
Yeah, whatever it takes.
whatever it takes. So, did y'all have jackets on or no?
I brought a light raincoat, sort of a windbreaker.
A window.
I don't know how it breaks the wind. I mean, I know I break wind, but I don't know how the jacket does.
My father,
Okey
my
doke,
father was
that's
good
weird.
at that.
Yeah, just pull my finger.
And I seem to have fallen after this. I seem to be.
It's genetic.
Is that what it
Poor
is?
kids. Yeah. Oh well.
Oh, have mercy. Have mercy.
Well, moving on.
Moving on, exactly. So, yeah, the stock market is everybody panicking over this at this point? Is this a grave error that was made by the Trump administration? What's going on? What's your thoughts on that? The stock dive.
Well, my retirement age has moved up by about, or moved back by about a decade.
I'm about to say, how long is it now?
We're working till I'm 87 now, so looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll probably still be able to push your walker to table and greet the customers.
What are you on? Okay.
Get out of here.
What was it again?
You didn't like what?
What day is it?
I'll show you a thing or two.
That's right. I like that.
That's it's nice when you get old enough you don't
Shake
have to
your cane
impress
at 'em.
anybody anymore.
It's the blessing.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's how bad is it? The futures.
Well, they were
1500?
I think
down about
today it was
seven
about
or eight.
7-8 this morning. Yeah.
the futures were down, but this is all you see what the plan is. You think that the powers that be kind of know what's happening and what's going to happen. It's going to make a turn back around. Just have to ride it out, I
think
guess.
it's a game of chicken. I think he's waiting until everybody else says, "Oh, okay, you're right. We need to reassess this." And, I've looked at the tariffs that are imposed by other countries and the tariffs that we are now imposing against them. And the one thing that I'm not sure about is what does it call it? There is something with the assessed tariffs against us that includes monetary policy and other hidden costs, which is very vague and ambiguous, and it doesn't say what those are and how those relate to tariffs. And, obviously currency manipulation is something that would affect, trading and things of that nature. But I had a whole list I actually got from Shapiro.com, which talked about it gave a rundown of every country, with the exception, of course, of Russia, because we don't trade with them. But it does say, where is it?
Well, it's,
I
it,
can't
it's
see
it,
now.
it-
but-
while you're looking that up, it's interesting that the Israeli Prime Minister is in D.C. today to meet with Trump because with all these tariffs that came down in the midweek of last week, Israel has got tariffs put on them. And now you got Netanyahu who's meeting with Trump today to talk about that. I think it's like 16, 17% tariffs even on our friends Israel now. Well, finally we're friends after, Trump gets in office. They're actually discussing this, but they are going to talk about that today when he visits the White House.
It's
So,
17. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
And maybe this is to be the kind of the example of how things are supposed to work.
Yeah.
Kind of showing the world
and
this is the way it rolls.
That may be just the template for them to do that and say, "Hey, check it out. This is what we're doing, negotiating." You know, and so we'll see. I think that, like I said, it's a game of chicken. I think that he's waiting for the other side to back down. I think that there's some talk of the EU and the states coming together and creating a trading bloc, which they probably need to do with the no tariffs, and that's ultimately the goal. I think. It's not really a source of revenue. Because, as a lot of people have pointed out, it is in essence a tax on the American people because we'll be paying the additional amount for the products that we're purchasing that have those tariffs imposed upon them. So if that can, what we need is as everyone has full access to our markets, the biggest market in the world, then we also need access to their markets, and I think that that's just even the playing field, and that's the whole point of this is to say, wait a minute, you're imposing this on us. Well, we're going to do the same, although we're going to do it by half. So I think it's a fair enough strategy, and it's about time the rest of the world kind of got in line and did what we asked. But it's a very expensive game of chicken at this point, as 5-6 trillion has been marked out or wiped off the value of the markets, I believe, at this point, something extraordinary like that. So we'll see how it rolls out this week. I did see that the Nikkei it dropped significantly in the beginning and then kind of bounced back a little bit. So I think that people are saying, wait a minute, there's going to be a solution to this that the powers that be will hopefully work something out.
Yeah, it looks like
the
the futures as of just a few minutes ago, about 800 points down futures as of this morning. So.
Well, it was further last night, so I think that's an improvement.
Yeah, so it says, article I'm seeing here says Dow futures fall 800 points, S&P 500 eyes bear market on Trump tariffs. So,
and there is a bottom, It will stop at some point, so,
I think
when we buy. Of course, I don't have any money left, but if
I
we
think
did
Herbert Hoover said that years ago. There is a bottom. And I don't know.
we have black bottom pie.
There you go.
Okay.
That's right.
yeah, the last market summary, they just put out, 37,613, and then it's kind of bouncing 900, but it just updated to 919 now, minus 919. So it's between 8 and about 900.
We're not down 1,000 yet.
Not down 1,000 yet. The day is
That's
early.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, wake me up once it hits 1,000.
According to the Fox ticker, it's about $8.99 right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. Okay. So, of course, I've been around for a while, and it seems that there have been ups and downs in the stock market, and I'm glad to know that I still have gas in the car and food on the table and, things like that. So
Guns and ammo.
just one of them.
Yep.
You could look at it this way. The president is creating a great buyer's market.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is all part of trading, right?
Mm-hmm.
A buyer's market and a seller's market.
How long do you think the market will continue at this rate? Because the tariffs went into, because he made the announcement midweek of last week, and of course the tariffs went into effect, a couple of days afterwards?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I think it was at some point this weekend they went into effect, but I don't know what the exact date is, but I just wonder how much more the market's going to continue to tumble throughout the week. So
All I can say is forget the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Nikkei, whatever you want. What are the price of eggs now? They're dropping.
I hadn't looked recently. I know they were going up. So
think they're coming down.
Okay.
Last report I heard.
we were in
those chickens
we were in the grocery
producing.
store Saturday, and they look much better. I will say that looked a lot better.
So that's good because got to do some grocery shopping this week ourselves.
Yeah, they looked a lot better this week.
Gonna make some omelets.
Yeah,
vegetarian ones,
I
maybe.
like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I like omelet. That's
We know.
a good 3 egg omelet, some peppers and onions. Yeah, it's a good omelet.
Cheese.
Oh, that's without being said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what, I don't. Is it called an omelet if it doesn't have cheese in it?
I guess you can call it an omelet.
I don't know why you would.
Hey, anything can identify however you want.
Exactly. It could be a trans omelet. I'm a frittata, but I identify as an omelet.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm a
Oh,
frittata.
that's weird.
Well, I'd like the egg white frittata. Oh, we just call that the egg white omelet.
That there's an omelet. No, sir.
No, I'd beg to differ.
Let's use the proper pronoun for that omelet,
do.
please.
I just want the egg whites, and I want it in the frittata.
Or I'll go protest. Hands off my omelet. Hands off my frittata.
Oh, mercy.
What is he touching?
Yeah, it's a slow news day, isn't it? I'm
boy.
telling you, mercy me. Yeah, but first of all, I think about your weekend when you're coming up. You know, what is it? Surely, sometime in life, something so tremendous has happened in this country that has caused you to say, "I'm taking my Saturday and I'm making a sign and I'm going to go protest in a major city somewhere." When did that happen for you, Charles?
Well, that's actually never happened.
And Rob, when did that happen for you?
Negative.
Me either.
Okay.
I'm just, and we've.
Are
had,
we lazy?
and
Is
we-
that what it is?
We've seen some pretty, raunchy stuff here in our country that we could have protested against, but yet we weren't compelled to paint signs. I guess we're
Sleeping in on a Saturday? Doing lawn work? What do we
living our lives.
Oh, that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, and what purpose did this protest serve, do you think? They got 11 people on the news.
Got a news bite.
Yeah.
Did
A
that.
nibble.
I guess it's an awareness thing.
Okay.
We're gonna hammer some Tesla cars on the
Well,
border.
hey, they have every right to protest.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know, and
sure.
We've said that before.
Let's see.
But
You know what that was? Suddenly, I get it. Now, I don't know why, but suddenly, now, I am aware that there are a lot of people in this country that don't like Trump.
Okay.
I must have
I had
been.
no idea.
I must have had my head in the sand because now, because of this protest, the hands-off protest,
Wow, they're just now showing up. Oh, okay. It's 2025.
I'm now aware that there are a lot of people in this country that do not like President Trump.
Okay. Well, not a whole lot around here, apparently, but or at least that are willing to get up this morning and raise that banner of hands off. Hands off my donuts.
And by the way, it's not a democracy, you moron.
It's a republic.
Thank you.
You moron.
Representative republic. And I like what one of the commentators said about the danger of our democracy when it comes to the process, because we have a democratic process in our democratic republic.
In a constitutional republic.
Constitutional republic.
Wow. I've got to
Say
stop
that
the
like
Constitution.
Mark Levin.
Constitutional Republic!
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Hands off
Yeah,
my
there you-
fanny hurts!
My ears hurt. Wow.
Hands off my Constitution. Yeah.
Say it like Mark Levin.
But I like what one of the commentators said. One of the biggest dangers of democracy is people like these liberal appointed judges that are literally like taking executive actions on their own, so to speak. So it's like we are at a time where there needs to be a good kind of reset on this whole, to borrow a phrase from Hillary Clinton, a reset on how things are
quoting Hillary?
perceived in our government.
You're quoting Hillary.
I just did that
You just did.
when I said reset.
Okay.
Well, he wants to be able to live tomorrow.
Reset that computer. No, just smash it.
Bleach pit!
Okay.
That's it. So anyway, we're living large here at Mornings in Meridian. Glad you're out there. We do need to get this break in. We'll come back. I'm Roger. He's Rob.
Yeah!
Charles is in the house.
You in the house?
And we shall be back. Stay with us. Mercy. All right, that is the voice of Bobby Bear. Yes, Bobby Bear is 90 years old today.
Wow.
I heard it was Smokey the Bear. I didn't know is that his brother?
That
Bobby
must
the Bear?
be Bobby the Bear, and get some good country music there. 90 years old today. Other birthdays include Bill Bellamy, the actor, 60 years old. Let's see, Russell Crowe, 61. And looking down the list there, the late Wayne Rogers was born this day in 1933, and the late James Garner, the Rockford Files. That's right, 1928 he was born this day.
Still love him and My Fellow Americans.
Yeah, he's a good one. And did good in Space Cowboys. That was good. There, he's good actor, Mr. James Garner. Let's see here. We're looking down the John Oates, the musician, is 77 today. So happy birthday. If today is your birthday, you share that with former California Governor Jerry Brown, 87 years old.
Still kicking? He's still here.
I believe he still is. Mm-hmm. All right. There was a 28-year gap between his second and third term as governor.
What was he doing?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
He was at protest.
He was
Rehab.
He was a hands-off protest or something. Yeah. So, anyway, it's Mornings in Meridian. Hope you're having a good day. Glad you're out here and ready to get on the phone, talk about this, that, or the other thing.
It is interesting looking at some of these protests that happened this weekend all across the country. Found this post on X a few seconds ago. It was about 200 people in Charlestown, West Virginia. They're calling it an anti-Trump protest. It was about 200 people in this town square. They kind of have a camera scanning back and forth of these individuals, and gentleman posted on X here. He says, looks like the median age appears to be about 70. He says, when you go back and look at a lot of these protests across the nation, it appears that the age is about 70 years old, around in that ballpark. He says, also notice almost a complete lack of Latinos in the crowd and African Americans. The Democrat Party may not exist in 10 years. So you got a median age of 70 at a lot of these protests. That's just his opinion, what he was scanned from New York and West Virginia, all spots where he noticed
So
this
those
weekend.
those are old hippies that have been used to protesting.
Either that or there are people who are scared buying into the media narrative of we're taking away your Social Security, which is not the case
not
at
the case,
all,
yeah.
but yet
No.
they're listening to little snippets going, hands off my Social Security, waving their walkers around and hands off my walkers.
Hey,
I'll show you.
Now, if you can wave a walker around, do you need it?
I don't know.
That's
know,
true.
I'm not one to judge
I'm just
the
saying.
necessity of a walker.
If
You know,
you-
well, they do, the
if you
walkers
could-
have a seat on
if
them
you-
as well.
Well, they do.
You know.
But if you can lift it and wave it around, that's
You can keep your medical marijuana under the
darn
seat.
right,
I
man.
mean, there's a lot of advantages to it.
that's where I keep my smokes.
Cash. It's legal now, you know that.
I got my card. It evidently must be legal, or the illegals don't care, because just pull up to a traffic light. Boy, you sure smell it.
Yeesh. Exactly. So I just thought that was interesting to share that. Just they were scanning through some crowds at some of these protests over the weekend. That was just kind of an observation from one of the reporters there on the ground at some of these places. So,
Well, and even in the villages, they had a protest.
Even in the villages.
Even in the villages, very right-wing community down there in Central Florida.
I thought
Spent
the
some time
villages. I thought the villages was. That's kind of an interesting thing. I wonder.
Mhm.
I wonder if they're invited to the social hour that night.
Well, probably not. Well, you know what? Actually, the demographic of the villages is changing because you've got more boomers moving in, and I think the boomers tend to have more of a liberal streak than a lot of the prior generation, whatever that one is.
Something must have happened to me then. I'm a boomer.
Yeah, I've thought that for a while. Something must have happened to him. What happened to Roger?
Nah, it was
Dropped on his head as a baby. But anyway,
I may have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's-
would explain a lot. But I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying that there's a large or a certain percentage of them that are a little more liberal.
After all those times Dad was throwing me over the guardrail of the bridge, I finally learned to
Threw
swim.
you over the bridge.
Finally learned to swim. Yeah.
You swim back home. I threw you away. I'm back.
And that's
All
I look.
right.
I know there's some things you shouldn't make fun of, and that's something I shouldn't
they're-
make fun of.
Okay.
But it
About
was-
that, that's traumatic. Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
people used to learn to swim. Their parents put them in there, boom,
over the guardrail,
Well,
like by the side of the highway. Is
as
what
long
I'm
as it's on
thinking.
the water, yeah.
Okay. Like on a bridge.
The bridge.
Threw you
I
off
should
the
have said bridge.
Okay. Just threw you off the bridge.
No, no. It was a.
Okay.
It was. It was a. It was a.
Was it the Tallahatchie?
No.
All right. Whatever. I think
Actually, yes.
We're getting off on a weird tangent.
I'm the one that was thrown off the Tallahatchie Bridge. I made it out. I'm here. I'm here to tell
Goodness.
about it.
All right. Learn to swim. Never saw my folks again, but hey,
Yeah. Heard there was a great song written about it.
Moses. All right.
Oh, now,
Threw you in a basket, right?
I like the way you did that. Went biblical on us there. Got the Moses basket. Rob, save us. What's on the radar?
Well, they did have, we talked about Meridian having that handful of folks that were there protesting at the Doughboy Monument this weekend. Over at the Capitol, looks like they had about 2,000 folks there on the steps of the Capitol.
Are they handing out bottled water?
Look like they have plenty of nice-looking signs that someone probably handed
Really
out.
Fancy.
Yeah, they called it the hands-off protest. is
Hands
what
off
they
my
called it.
water. Oh,
Yeah.
no, fix the water.
So, excuse me, 400 people attended the protest in Jackson. Around 2,000 similar protests took place around the country on Saturday. So about 400 folks.
400.
400
There you go.
folks.
Well, I guess if you do the math, the population demographic versus
Yeah, key
Meridian.
issues the protesters hit on were Trump tariff plans, executive orders, immigration policies, as well as massive government cuts to departments and programs such as Medicaid, Social Security, and USDA.
Pretty much everything that they were protesting was everything that Trump ran on, promising that he would do.
What to say? Are you shocked by this?
So are we all surprised that this is what's going on? Okay. Well, I mean that's good. I mean, this is America. That's what you get to do. You get
Of course.
to get to
I encourage
protest.
it. Protest, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time, bring donuts. I'll show up. Not with this
Not
sign.
really.
No,
I
I'm
have
not even
I
gonna
know
do
you
that.
well enough to know that even a donut
Even
wouldn't get
I
to that.
don't
No,
eat
that would
donuts.
never happen. Now I might do that. That'd be something you could try on me, perhaps.
Evidently, there wasn't enough of those protesters around the country to change the election, I guess.
Well, I'm not going to protest. I'm just going to go stand and hold a sign that says battery one source.
Hey, start something.
Yeah, if I want to start something, I'm going to say battery one source. That's where you go if you want to start something.
You don't have to hold a sign. They have a sign down there.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
See that?
there you
And
go.
it advertises where they are, which is, of course, 2618 North Frontage Road in between exit 152 and 153. That is where you'll find John Dufour and his crew of battery experts. They've got batteries for every need and description: watches, remote cell phones, even laptop computers. They also are number one in golf cart service and repair. It's the time to hit the links, isn't it? We'll get that golf cart ready to go. And, of course, if your cell phone's broken, they got the best cell phone repair guy in the business. Bring it in for a quick fix. They are open 2618 North Frontage Road, 601-693-1500. It is your one source for all things battery and battery-related and golf cart service.
Well, Trump has put out a Truth Social post a few minutes ago. He says, oil prices are down, interest rates are down, the slow-moving Fed should cut rates. He put that in parentheses. Food prices are down, there is no inflation, and the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of all is who?
China.
Whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our great country. Make America great again. So he put that out, I guess, one of his daily Truth Social posts.
Well, in all honesty, if you're going to make adjustments to the way we do business worldwide, if things have gradually come to the point of where they are now and you start making drastic changes, there's going to be noticeable effects of that. One being, of course, our stock market, but how long will that be? And then the real question is, how much do the Trump supporting Americans, how much stomach do they have to ride this out?
That's going to be the big question I have is going ahead. How long is we're going to roll with this, you know.
I mean, we're already talking about maybe a couple of, a week into it, and it's like, okay, and everybody protest, all this other kind.
But if we're sitting
just a week into it here.
but if we're sitting here, say, 2 weeks down the road, and we're still kind of trending in this way, it's going to be like,
You mean the markets?
yeah.
Well, I think there's a bottom at some point.
I would hope there would be a bottom at some point, not 2 weeks down the road.
Well, but you've got to remember that the economic pressure that's put on the American citizens by the market drop is being similarly put on every other citizen in the world, whether it's Japanese markets, the European markets, wherever they are, they're all dropping. And so as we are put under a lot of pressure, then so are all the other countries. And so, you've got, especially with Europe and their pivot now towards spending more of their GDP on military. All of a sudden they're spending more, and then everybody's personal wealth is dropping. Then you've got a lot of pressure put on those governments. And so what are they going to do? How are they going to react? And let's face it, we are the biggest market in the world. In order to have access to this market, play by our rules. Why are we playing by their rules? Or at least let's come up with some rules that are fair for everybody. And I think that's Trump's aim in doing this.
Well, I guess the ability, since we're just able to print money, we're perceived as the richest country in the world, and so that we are the ones to be taken advantage of. And there is an entitlement mentality among governments. And that's what Trump is battling.
It is. I don't know if we're the richest country in the world.
Well, we're not, but the point is we're perceived
Abu
that.
Dhabi,
Yeah.
UAE,
We've kind of,
streets are paved with
we've
gold.
tried to, we're...
But overall, I think we
Yeah.
are, as far as the size of the economy and the size of the consumer market, then we definitely are.
We're
in
the
that
poor.
sense.
We're the poor uncle that wants to act like he's got. I'll get this. I'll pay for the meal tonight. I'll do. It's like
And he drives off in his Chevette.
goes home and said, "I don't know why I did that."
Texter writes into the show here, showing a diagram of the Dow Jones from 22 and 23, where there was no panic and no screaming and hollering whenever the Dow was well below 35 and 34, and there was no bonkers, crazy shouting and screaming. And now we're sitting at where it's at now.
Was that the COVID drop?
No, it was 22, 23.
Oh, 22, 24. Well past the COVID. Then.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
And where was all of the panic and screaming
Well, I think
and
the
hollering
difference is
then?
that this is the policy of one person
Yeah.
that is creating this. And so I think that the panic and the criticism are justified.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with those policies, then you can certainly look to Trump and his administration and say that this is the cause of it. A lot of other times when you have these market drops, there are external causes and things that you really can't control, things that were made mistakes in the past as far as policy, housing. That was a major one, in 2010, or 2008, whenever that was.
2008, yeah. Well, I remember that one.
And so that was, those were things that were more external as opposed to the decisions of one person and his administration. And this is where you can directly trace it and say, point the finger right at him.
Yeah.
So legitimately, people who are opposed to that, they have they have every right and reason to say, we don't agree with it. And fair enough, don't agree with it. But you got to look at the long term. What's the ultimate goal? And we can't continue as a country the way that we have been for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, where we're just kowtowing to these other countries because of this sense of, I think it's this sense of success guilt. We feel guilty that we're so successful. And so we have to give money to countries. We have to give these trade statuses to countries, and we need to get over that and just, it's sort of our inferiority complex.
Or the stabilizing of the world. We'll give you money if you'll be good.
Which they don't, not anyway.
And
They
take the money and hate America.
Thank you for the money, and we still hate you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's some more then.
Those Americans are stupid. They'll give us money, and we can tell you anything
All
we
you
want to
got
about
to do
them.
is say we hate them, and they'll give us more.
To the phones we go. Good morning, caller. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is John. How y'all doing?
Hey, John, how are you?
Good to hear you, brother.
Hey. So I've never understood the hand wringing when the market goes down because that simply creates a buying opportunity.
There you go. There you go.
And I have a funny story to share. Way back when I was at the airport, the Freddie Portman owned quite a few shares of airline stock, and when it would go down, he'd always fuss at me. He's like, "John, y'all just doing a terrible job out there. The stock market's going down." And I'm like, "Well, I'm on the employee purchasing plan, so I'm glad it's going down because I'm buying more stock." And he's like, "I don't want to hear that." And so I said, "Why anybody upset about that? Because hey, when you're buying it, you get more stock for your money, and it's going to go back up eventually. It's the way it works.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it swings
Just
buy
back
and
and
hold.
forth.
now, see, that's a very well educated perception there, right there. It's, as we said on the show, Trump's creating a nice buying market.
But that's fine. But we all have apps on our phone now, and we can look at exactly what our value is of our stock portfolio, and just watching it drop, you think, well, and that's
I
where
try
that.
to avoid doing that.
Yeah, well, it's almost addictive.
Sharp.
How far down am I today? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, anyway.
But a quick comment on something different. You mentioned Bobby Bear a while ago.
Yeah.
90 today. So we had taken a vacation back in the late 80s, made a loop Memphis to Nashville, and we had tickets to Ralph Emery's Nashville Tonight show.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
on CNN.
Well, you're showing how long ago that was. Yeah.
I know. I'm a young guy. I was like 5 when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the guest stars that night on the show were Dottie West and John McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and Bobby Bear, and he was just fantastic. And being in a live audience like that when you're, just only a few hundred people in there, it was a treat to get to see him perform there during that show live like that. And then we had actually recorded it, so we got a chance to go back and watch it when we got home. But he is, I didn't realize he was 90.
Yeah, he turns 90
said that
today.
a while ago. But he's a fantastic musician and just a legend, really, in the country.
Yeah,
folk
he's
music,
the one that
world.
gave us "Drop Kick Me Jesus" through the goalpost of life.
Yeah, and Marie Laveau. Which is
Another
Little
man
creepy
done
song,
gone. That's right.
But anyway, you guys have a great day. Enjoy talking to you.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank
John.
you. Appreciate the phone call, John. That's good. Good calls. And like you said, hey, it's a chance to, if you thought about getting in the market, this is a better time than it was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And if you got in 3 weeks ago, well, sorry about that.
Son of a gun. Darn it.
yeah.
Shouldn't have bought it then.
Yep. All right, let's take another call. We've got a minute or two before the break. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Mornings in Meridian.
Good morning, John. How dare you steal my thunder this morning, man?
What?
Hey, bye.
That's right. Bye.
I'm going out and research. Yeah, I'm going to research me some market stock this morning for sure.
Yeah, I think people are going to start dipping their foot in the pool now.
Yeah, the market is right now. Listen, I want to, Dr. Charles, if we was a democracy, where would them defiance judges be today?
Where would they be?
Yeah, you said we're not a democracy, right?
Well, Rob said that.
I said
we're a
we
republic.
we are a
Yeah.
constitutional republic.
Well, where would them defiance judges be if we was a democracy?
I have no idea.
They wouldn't be where they at. I mean,
Well,
a democracy, isn't that where you got the dictators at? And isn't democracy is kind of like a dictatorship in countries?
No, I
No.
don't.
A democracy is just a strict rule by the majority, whereas a republic is a representative. You have representatives. It's not the people themselves that are, making the ultimate decision. We hire
Right.
people in
We
a
vote for
republic.
representatives.
We hire people for that.
Right. Well, I just kind of figured in somewhere else, them the judges that the defiance, they probably be locked up in some other countries. If you defy the leadership, especially when it's unconstitutional what they're doing, what our judges are doing. I mean, why elect a president if they're gonna decide everything?
Oh yeah, the judges are trying to insert themselves in legislative and executive form of government.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, if they're gonna decide everything, we don't need the president. We just need to take everything to the judges and let them decide. That's my point.
And then that becomes what you call it, a dictatorship by judges.
By the judges, exactly. And what they're trying to do is that's exactly what they're doing when they go against duly elected president by the people. And Roger, the only people that want to see Trump fail with the tariffs and all that is the Democrat and ignorant Americans. They're the ones that want to see this fail. They are not behind pushing for betterness for what the president is doing.
Yeah, it's this. Let's not forget that even though he was elected back in November, there is still Trump derangement syndrome out there across the country.
No,
and
it's always going to be there,
and it's going to be there until the end. Well, brother, we've got to get out of here because we got a break coming up. But thank you for the show. Thank you for the call there, my friend on the street. Uh-oh. Okay, all right. All right, we're going to take a break for Fox News, and we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. So, or listening to us, I should say. And you're welcome to talk with us. You can call us at our number here at 601-485-9191. Roger B., along with Rob Atkinson.
Hello.
And also Charles Frazier.
In the house.
In the house, ready to go. And, of course, we're just going to go right to the phone lines. We have a caller who's been patiently holding on the line. So let's go there right now. Good morning. Welcome to Mornings in Meridian.
Good morning. Yes, I just wanted to comment on what the gentleman was saying before the break. I think what he was trying to say is that a constitutional republic, right, it protects minority rights against potential tyranny of the
majority. Yes.
Yes,
correct.
and so like when he was talking about those judges, what would happen to them if we were just a democracy is that democracy is majority rule. So if the majority voted President Trump in, then the majority could also vote all of these judges out, right? These Democratic judges, and replace them with the judges that align with the majority vote for Trump.
I see.
I think that's what he was trying to say, and so I just wanted to call in and comment on that.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. But I know that I get confused sometimes about what judges are elected and what judges are appointed. But you're saying that then the Trump administration could now begin appointing more. I don't know if.
Well, no, like appointment of judges in America is based on the constitutional rights, right? Like our founding fathers wrote, there will be so many senators, there will be so many representatives, judges. Like they created, the executive branch, legislative branch, and that's why it's a constitutional republic, is because it all goes back to that Constitution. But if you just look at the basic principles about what is a republic compared to a democracy, right? Like both of them allow the people to have a voice. But the difference is with a democracy, the majority trumps any minority rights, right? So it's majority rule. So basically socialism would be, a democratic form of government.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what he was trying to say. I know he said dictator, but I think that was, the principle that he was getting at, as in what would happen to these judges in a democracy. Well, if the majority of America voted for Trump and they're against, these left-wing policies, then if we didn't have the Constitution, say, and we were just a democracy, then we could say we don't want any of these judges anymore. But we can't, that's not the way our governance documents are.
Right.
So.
Very good point. All right. There you go. Good explanation. Appreciate that.
Yep. Have a good morning.
Thanks for being out there listening.
Yep.
All right. It's Mornings in Meridian, and she reads. I can tell.
A little bit.
That's good.
Yep.
I need to learn how to do that.
Well-
I've been thinking I need to.
Left to right,
One of these.
up, down.
One of these days.
few words together combines in sentence.
Huh.
Well, there you go.
Insight.
I was listening to Nate Bargatze and his little comedy routine last night. He said, and this reading thing, you buy these books and there's just words. I mean,
No pictures?
it's like, it's just
not a
weird.
picture
He
book.
said, how about a blank page every now and then just to help me get my head above
Oh,
water?
really? Let me reset. Okay.
So it's like he was basically having some fun about not reading. All right. Well, you too can be part of the show here at 601-485-9191. Yes, we do have a system. It's a democratic republic. It is a representative system based on the Constitution. I guess so that no one majority can stomp down the other. The
No
minority.
stomping.
No stomp the minority, I guess. There you have it. That was kind of brilliant, though, when you think about the work that went into forming this Constitution. And now we have a generation that really just doesn't really see the importance of it. Or at least it needs to be changed or something like that.
Well, it's changing a lot of things, you know.
And where does
Definitions
all
and
this
so on.
illegal stuff come in? What about who makes the policies about whether you are able to come into this country willy-nilly or by due process?
Yeah, speaking of that, illegal immigration, I thought it was hilarious over the weekend that at the Boston Red Sox baseball game at Fenway Park, they were playing the Cardinals. the mayor of Boston was at the game. You know, they always do like crowd shots of people up on the Jumbotron or whatever it is. They put her picture up there. She got massively booed by the fans there inside the baseball stadium.
Who was she?
The mayor of Boston, you know, the one that's been all over the news. Like, you know, we're going to stand up to to ICE and Tom Holman, you know, we're going to, and then she just gets absolutely.
And she's a terrible baseball player, too. That's probably why.
That's probably why.
Like, boo.
But yeah,
no good.
she was waving and smiling, and everybody's going,
Well, it is Boston, too. They're probably half drunk.
Probably worse.
Or more than half.
It was the middle of the day, too. So.
Oh, then you know they were.
Yeah, we're
my
big time,
goodness.
big time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you've also
They'd
heard
do
me.
anything.
I've decided that, you know, there's just been this controversy, or I say controversy, no controversy. There's just been this, I'll just say it was whining on my part about not being able to vote inside the city elections because even though I own property and we pay taxes, we can't vote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember it well.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to hereby report that I'm done with it.
you're done?
I do not.
A new leaf.
I have changed
This is a
my
new
mind.
Roger.
I
Okay.
have changed
Okay.
my mind
All right.
Okay.
And what is the cause of this change of mind?
because I realize that if I want to vote in the municipal elections,
Yeah.
I should be a citizen within that municipality. I don't want any precedents that would suggest on a greater scale that you could vote in the country and not be a citizen. So I'm all for the law that would require proof of citizenship to be a voter in the United States of America. Will say to myself, no, I don't need to be. If I want to be voting inside the city of Meridian, I need to move and be a citizen inside that municipality. So the no precedence is set saying that, well, someone can vote in a precinct in which they are not involved or a citizen.
Well, I think that I mean, I don't know why there couldn't be a change to the definition of where you reside. Now, if you've got a home in the county and a business in the city or property in the city that you own, I don't see why you couldn't be able to claim that as a primary, even if it's not a residence, but your primary voting residence. You know, if you choose to vote in the city, you're only allowed one or the other. So if you choose to affect the politics in the city based on, you know, your economic investment in that city, then why not? And I think that that's the argument that a lot of people who own property in the city have, is that, hey, wait a minute. I mean, I'll forego my county vote if I can participate in the city elections.
And so that would then create a precedence to say on a larger scale, if I'm from a country but I own property in the United States, then why should I be able to engage in the United States elections because I own property there, like
Because
Chinese
you're not a citizen
that buy
of this
farmland.
country. So,
okay.
I mean, being a citizen of the country would,
So you're suggesting there might be a way I could have my cake and eat it too.
or donuts or Kit Kat bar, as the case may be. So,
got my
yeah.
Kit Kat bar
I know you do.
Good
Give
morning, caller. Welcome to our show, 601-485-9191. Good morning.
As a come in peace, love everybody, and there's nothing you can do
Not
about
a
it.
thing.
Yeah.
He says
Hey,
there's
Roger,
nothing.
that was a good observation you just made about being able to vote. Very good, very good. And that's pretty much the way it was intended. You need to live where you vote because you could influence outside people. Yeah, you got business there. Good observation.
Well, thank
and
you.
And another observation, I just wonder what took you so long to get there, though.
We wonder about that in so many ways.
If you've followed my education throughout my life and the way I do things, it takes me a while to get anywhere.
Okay. And another thing, now on the tariffs, okay, that's supposed to have been a big stick that Trump was swinging, and he was going to intimidate people into complying. But it didn't work that way. So he didn't intimidate them. They haven't gotten on board. And he even said himself that Japan did not act the way that they were supposed to act.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in some uncharted water now. So to say go out and buy some stock today because it's low from the last 2 days, we don't know yet where it's going. That's an old saying, buy low, sell high. Good saying. But right now we're in some uncharted water. We don't know where this thing is going. We all hope it stabilize and things come back to a so-called normal. But we're in an abnormal situation. So we got to see.
Did he do this to some degree in his first administration? When there's some tariff,
nothing like this. If
Yeah,
there were,
not
it was
to
not
not to
memorable.
this extent.
Yeah.
But,
So.
you know, it's all a game of chicken, and playing with a lot of money. But you know, once again, our market is the biggest market in the world, so that's the trump card, no pun intended, that we have. And say, wait a minute, you want access to our markets? Then you're going to play by at least equal rules, if not our rules. And I think that's kind of what Trump is telling people. And you can say that, yeah, it's not effective, but this is just the beginning part of the game, I think. I hate to call it a game because I know it's playing with a lot of people's money and livelihood, and
But if your ultimate
so
goal is strength and wealth, and this is the adjustment that has to be made to get there.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is even to the point where you start literally, are we even going to literally see a reduction of national debt? Is that the end game in his sight? And I think it is. So yeah, you can't judge its success by the participation.
Well, not
at this
in 3
point.
days anyway. Yeah.
Well, you have to look at history. Now, here's a man going into 6 bankruptcy. So, people that's afraid, they saying, hey, is this going to be bankruptcy number 7? So we always say, look at history, what people do.
Yeah.
So, hey, we don't know. So you can jump on one side. You can be happy that it's happening. You can be sad that it happened, but it is what it is.
Maybe that's why I didn't
I don't know if
grow
I'm
my
happy.
wealth. I didn't.
I'm not happy or sad. I'm a little nervous, to be honest. But I think that the way the country is going, we have this overwhelming debt burden, and it can't continue because we're just going to fall apart. And that is a guarantee. It's unsustainable.
A little sore now, compared to a major amputation, down the road. Maybe that's what this is all about.
It work out that way.
Yeah.
It work out that way, good and fine. Oh, I want to revisit something you said last week. And you asked the question, Roger. You said, would you be willing to pay a little more to get American-made products?
Yes.
And most people will say, yeah. But to me, that's a half of a
that's lip
thought
service
pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you look at it and you say, now I did some research and we looked at the CEOs. So when you ask, will the end user be willing to pay more? All right. But you never ask, will the CEO, whatever they call it, chief executive, CEO, will they be willing to take a pay cut? And I went down, I looked into that. Back in 1978, the average CEO salary was $30 to $1 for hourly worker. 2024, it was up to $300 to $1. That's the average now. So the CEOs have made 1,000 and some increase in wages, where the average worker made a 24%. So when you look at that, you say, well, where did this come from? What happened? You start looking at what the lobbyists did when they left Congress, and they went up and wrote the laws, stacked the laws to benefit big business and corporations. So you say, okay, all the laws have been written to benefit them. Is it fair? You get in where you fit in. But yeah, it's a lot of inequality even in that part. So we got a lot of moving parts here. So you pick the parts you can digest. The rest of it, you have an emotion about it. But everybody, we just in some uncharted water. So I don't have an answer nor a solution. So I'm not gonna, pick sides and choose that. I just got to do what's inside my bubble, take care of me and the missus, and go day by day. Keep the faith. All right, you guys have a good day. We'll talk to you another time.
Thank you. Thank you for the phone call there. Missing Eddie James checking in. Glad to hear from him, especially when he calls in and compliments the host. I mean, says that's a good comment. It was very nice. like to be complimented, I guess. It's a good thing.
I guess few and far between.
Yeah, few and far between. Well, I don't know if this is the website he's looking at, Economic Policy Institute. It says, how do we solve the problem of the runaway CEOs' wages? We need to enact policy solutions that would both reduce incentives for CEOs to extract economic concessions and limit their ability to do so. So you're looking about some policy governmental influence to basically start telling private corporations this is how much you can pay or offer this and that. Is that what we really want in a capitalistic society? It says such policies could include reinstating higher marginal income tax rates at the very top, setting corporate tax rates higher for firms that have higher ratios of CEO to worker compensation. Maybe their taxation for the company is based on the ratio between the big guy and the little guys. Not that they're little guys; they're people that make the stuff. They're the workers.
Big guys.
They're the ones that couldn't be. He couldn't be there without them, sort of.
Of course.
Yeah. I kind of like that idea. I don't know. Is that?
I don't like the idea of legislating anything where you say you've got to cap this and that. What I do like is the stockholders voting and saying, "Wait a minute, what we're paying you is too much." But then we've got
there has to be people who are equally as capable willing to work for less.
You would think so, but what you've got is a certain level of talent, and you see it across sports and a variety of other industries as well. Not that sports is an industry, although I guess it is now. Where you've got these players making $500 million, signing these contracts that are ridiculous.
Yeah, God just signed a 14-year, $500 million contract in baseball.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, in baseball this morning, and that's not even the most.
How old is he?
26.
And he signed how many years?
14
years, $500 million.
So he'll be 40.
That's right.
Some years old if he lives out the contract. Yep. If he survives the contract.
Well, it'll probably be renegotiated.
Yeah, it probably will be.
Oh,
but the level of talent that you see there is what the market will bear, okay? Because that's bringing in, so there's so much money in sports, whether that's Major League Baseball, basketball, football, whatever that is. You obviously see it in the college ranks now as well, playing these college players, $3, $4, $5 million. Actually, Arch Manning to ride the bench. What, $4 million a year? Yep. Not too shabby. I'll ride the bench for $4 million a year. I rode the bench for nothing.
Yeah, so you wouldn't mind getting paid to do what you already did for nothing.
Exactly.
Okay.
But my point is that there's a certain level of talent within organizations, those who are exceptional individuals who can do this one specific thing very well, or in the case of baseball, multiple things very well, and they are deemed worth that much money based on how much they bring into the business. So that's what the market will bear. I mean, is that wrong? Or
True
is that
capitalism
right?
at its finest.
It is, but when you see the disparity in wealth, then we look at that and say that's kind of ridiculous.
We want to get
does
socialist.
The government then punish and say, okay, we're going to tax you more, or are we going to take that, or we're going to say that there's a cap on that? We're not going to let you earn as much as the market.
And that's
will bear.
the other question I have for this guy who just signed this contract. His name is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. So I wonder what he will get taxed there in Canada for this money.
That's pretty funny there now.
That's right.
How much is that he get to keep?
That's right.
So basically, he's going to end up with $1 million for it's over with.
Yeah.
We're going to get our greedy claws.
$20.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm just posing questions. I'm not saying one way or the other.
And are those Canadian dollars or U.S. dollars?
I mean, I'm assuming it'd be U.S.
Yeah, probably U.S.
And I don't know what the exchange rate is right now.
And the thing about it is, Juan Soto with the Mets, he just signed a 15-year, $765 million contract with the New York Mets during the offseason. And then, of course, Shohei Ohtani with that 10-year, $700 million contract with the Dodgers.
That's a lot of yen.
So, yeah. A lot of money is going around in baseball.
I can't play sports, but I'd like to have the George Costanza job like he had with the Yankees on the Seinfeld show. Just kind of show up and you could actually take a nap during the day under your desk.
Is that kind of what you do now? I mean, okay, just asking. Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, I'd like to be part of a sports organization if I could have a job like that. That'd be good.
Could be like Bobby Bonilla with the Mets. You know, every year is Bobby Bonilla Day. He gets a deferred amount of his salary, and he played all the way back in like the 80s and 90s. He gets a deferred portion of his annual salary all the way up until July the 1st of 2035 because the way his contract was structured back in the day.
Nice
really?
pension.
Yeah, the payment is $1.19 million every July 1st.
Huh. Well, that's going down in value.
Yeah.
Used to be worth more.
The payments continue annually through 2035.
So all he's got to do is show up every July 1st. I'm here.
Send him a check.
Even better, just deposit in the account.
There you go.
I won't even leave Florida.
Well, he was cheaper up front that way,
I suppose.
which is not a bad idea. He kind of secured his
he's still paying
financial
for it.
future there.
Yeah. Okay.
How about that? A lot of different ways you can deal with these contracts. It's Mornings in Meridian. I never had to worry about whether I was going to get a sports contract or not. Just not the talent, not the skills, just not there. I'm still trying to, after 45 years, to learn how to play golf. Roger, he's right. You want to talk about some classic country now? Cal Smith, we talked about him. He was born in 1932. He would have been 93 today. Lost him in 2013. He had some interesting songs, like this one right there. Talking about the first self-righteous church in your town, Mississippi.
Talking about forgiveness.
There you go.
That is.
That's right. The Lord knows I'm drinking.
Right.
The late Cal Smith having a birthday today. Other birthdays: John Oates, 77. Bobby Bear, 90 today. And in the acting and actresses world, the late Wayne Rogers was born on this day in 1933. He was.
Who was Wayne Rogers?
He played on MASH there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. But actor there, he was. The role that was played by that other guy.
Oh, not Alan Alda, but the other one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See, I can remember Alan Alda too.
Of course, right.
Was it very rememberable?
Who can remember the actors' names in MASH? There, I remember Alan Alda. Yeah. Well, he played the other surgeon with Alan Alda before.
Spirit Chucker or whatever it was.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Trapper John. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, he was also in Gunsmoke a time or two, and the Ghost of Mississippi.
Oh, he was in Ghost of Mississippi.
Ghosts of Mississippi.
Really? Okay.
That's right.
That was an interesting film.
And he became kind of a financial advisor kind of guy. He lived down there in North Florida, and
All right.
retired, and he was
Told people what to do with their
invested
money.
well and was sharing
Right.
it with others. Yeah.
Said, yeah, buy stock. Not today, but every
Yeah, I'm about to say.
I don't know.
Today, maybe
Today might,
so.
actually, this is the day to buy. I think I'm going to have to go take a look at that. It's Mornings in Meridian. You two still have time to take a call if you'd like. And I want to thank Martin Roofing. They came last week, took off my old roof, put a new one on, cleaned up, and left.
It's like they were never there.
I'm telling you, that's just a great, great company. And here's the good thing about it. He hasn't sent the bill yet.
It's coming.
It's time. Then it's time to move.
He's he's working on it though.
Oh, you know
he's
he
working
is.
on it. No, a good skilled crew. I mean, I was impressed because when you have a large home and it needs a new roof, you think, how long is it going to take? Well, it took like maybe 4 days,
Okay.
and
Can't beat that.
it was done.
Yeah.
And then when the rain came this weekend, we had great peace of mind.
No leaking.
No,
Not even a drop coming through, I'll bet.
Nope.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of work you get from Martin Roofing. They've been doing it right for over 30 years. All you need to do is call them, Doug Martin Jr. or Sr. or Stacy, 601-485-5920. You know, they'll be happy to help with all of your roofing needs. And you are a satisfied customer.
I'm a
Personal
satisfied customer.
Testimony. I love it.
Yep.
They'll come by and give you a free estimate, inspect your roof for damage as well. Just kind of folks they are. Martin Roofing, locally owned and operated for over 30 years.
All right. And it's and here's the thing about it. This is kind of an interesting side note. It was probably a couple of years ago I had Doug come by and give me an estimate, and he kept that on file. And then I said, well, it's about time. We need to do it now, pull the trigger on this deal. And he revised the estimate, and off we went. And he sent the materials, then the crew, and got her done.
Get her done.
Just that easy. Well, I'll tell you, that's it for today, gentlemen.
Yep, Glenn Beck's next.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to be coming in here, and then after that,
Knocking
you
on
got
the door.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Don't forget Sean Hannity at 2, and then 5
There's
o'clock
Mark
drive
Levin.
home with Joe Pags.
And then Mark Levin tonight.
Don't forget Mark Levin. All right. We'll
That'd
see you
be
all
good.
tomorrow. Have a great, great Monday.